Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea. Welcome back to another high level game of StarCraft 2. Today we have a Terran versus Terran. Within the bottom left as our blue Terran player playing for Team Kaizi Gaming. It is time. And in the top right as our red Terran player playing for Storm Gaming, it's going to be none other than Gumiho. Both of these players, I would say second or maybe 2.5, maybe between the second and the third tier of Terran players in the world. Of course, at first tier, you have Maru. Actually, I think we're just going to have Maru there. Maybe Clem. Something along those lines, I think is pretty fair. Cure, you could say, is part of that group as well. And I think you have a layer of people like Ryang. And I think Time actually is very similar level to Ryang. Maybe Gumiho a little bit lower. But yeah, definitely, I think second or third tier Terran players in the world, depending how many people you want in each tier, of course. Anyway, we have a TVT on our hands here on 2K Atmospheres. Both players opening up with a double gas opener, as Time very aggressively pulls out of gas, only keeping 2 workers total in these gases, meaning he will have a very low amount of gas income and will be allowed to get a quicker command center because of that. We see slightly more gas mining coming out of Gumiho. The question is, what is the major trade-off here? How much slower will that CC be? The answer is, well, very little slower actually. Factory is delayed by 3-4 seconds coming out of Gumiho. But so far the game seems to be relatively even. This Reaper moves across the map while Time stayed at home with his own Reaper. Both players also getting a second Reaper here. And at the same time, what else do we see? Well, no starport as of yet. There's a lot of gas in the bank right now for Gumiho. Could start at starport. There we go indeed. Gumiho actually opting to go for a third Reaper. And it seems that Time is actually doing the exact same thing. Single Hellion though here for Gumiho. While we see Time open up with 2 Hellions. And that means that he wants to be aggressive or at least try and take map control. If you want to be more defensive, you often get a mine as a second factory unit and then go into the tech lab. So now we'll see exactly what Time wants to do. Is he going to be guarding ramps over here, or try to guard the middle is also a possibility. Or will he just stay at home and believe that his opponent is planning on moving out? Gumiho is known to be a player that likes to be aggressive with his initial units. The question is that going to be the case here as well? As we see the tech lab immediately swap here on the barracks, and it's going to be a Banshee after that initial Cyclone. Third gas is already being taken for both players, but once again the gas slightly faster here for Gumiho. Gumiho, I think, is actually getting the better end of this initial early game trade with a faster starport unit, slightly more gas, a quick Cyclone rather than a second Hellion. And let's face it, these two Hellions of Time haven't really achieved anything, and I don't think they will achieve anything in this game either, as Hellions as well as Reapers fall off extremely quickly. They're nice in the early game, but except for some 4:30, 5-minute 30 Reaper run by in towards the main base, Reapers are practically useless. You can use them as a counter-attack tool or as a tool to jump into the main while you're hitting in the natural, but yeah, they don't really have any real fighting value against tanks, against Marines with stim. So they just fall off really, really rapidly. Well, Banshee is going to make its way across the map together with this little squad of double Cyclone, triple Reaper, single Hellion. There's no tank in position yet. That means that this army might actually be capable of achieving something. There's not that much anti-air available. Depot is going to be targeted here. The Banshee will provide the high ground vision and the Cyclones will lock on. We have a little bit of a Cyclone battle here as well. It seems like Gumiho actually getting a pretty decent end of this trade. High ground tank could provide some backup. Seems to just be one depot that goes down there. Don't think much else actually ended up falling. A single Reaper died on the side of Gumiho. I think I'd rather lose a Reaper in this type of scenario than losing a depot. Gumiho supply blocking his opponent for a decent chunk of time. That means that Gumiho will pull ahead in the worker count. He also built his third CC on location. That means that if this CC finishes up, which it definitely will, he can just immediately start transferring workers there. He can build the orbital command on location as well. That tends to be a pretty decent advantage. Of course, the flying time from the main towards the third base, which time still is going to have to do, you know, this will still need to pick up or lift off and then land over here. That might take 12-13 seconds. During that period you can build an SCV. So Gumiho is really taking every little edge in the early game that he can, and he's getting away with it. Now he's going to take out 2 Reapers for free as well. Might actually even get the 3rd Reaper. There's triple Cyclones on the map after all, and those provide a lot of map control. Double Reaper still around for Gumiho, only losing 1 in total so far this game. Unit lost is in favor of Gumiho. The buildings, I think, or the assets that Gumiho right now has are also in favor of Gumiho. So we still see these triple Cyclones. There's still a Banshee alive, which is absolutely fantastic. A great counterattack tool. A Banshee is kind of like a flying Reaper in TVT. It doesn't really do much in an army, but it's great for harassment in the mid game. Triple Cyclones as well as these Hellions moving in right now will take out another Hellion, and Gumiho is just being so darn active with this army. It's going to be really difficult for Time to ever contest for map control. The moment Time starts moving out to try and get map control, there's going to be counterattacks all over. These Cyclones will delay the push out, well, indefinitely most likely. We already have 6 gases mining as well here for the Korean Terran player. So yeah, he's getting pretty heavy into that gas count. Armory already on the way. And that has really been the one factor that shouldn't be underestimated, is that Gumiho had been focusing a lot in that early game on getting more gas than his opponent. And so far it seems to have really paid off. Banshee will get 3 SCV kills, delays the depot from building for a little bit longer. And I think that Gumiho now is going to try and pull the trigger and maybe try and achieve something with the army that he has built, with the army that he has been working towards. Viking count is in favor of Time, but with the triple Cyclones on the ground, sometimes you can do something about a Viking lead. Of course, Cyclones with their long range, their ability to lock onto units, can prove to be very useful in this type of scenario. There's still full map control as well for Gumiho, which allows him to basically do whatever. Time consistently needs to send Marines out a little bit in front to try and figure out where his opponent's army is. Sensor tower is going to finish up. We see a scan coming out of Gumiho, I believe it is. Or it's a misplaced scan out of Time. No, it's going to be a Gumiho scan. Did this army get spotted? Okay, now it gets spotted. I think Time will need to start moving some tanks towards that right side. This command center is actually in danger. This Marine will get taken out. 4th base. No, not yet on the way. Instead we see a factory. 2nd factory being built right now. 2 more barracks as well. Getting their reactors in the main base for Time. And the same thing happening on the other side for Gumiho. 4th base once again being built on location. The game has settled down a little bit at this point. No aggressive moves to be made yet. Time already has his 2 medevacs out and will send these 16 marines towards the far left side. We also have the 2 medevacs already out for Gumiho, the standard of course after the 6 Vikings. 6 Vikings allows you to one-shot other Vikings, and that's the number that you go for before building these 2 medevacs. There's a couple of interference matrices available. Actually, there's 4 interference matrices available. That tank was getting ready to shoot. That means that there is an opportunity to maybe bust here. Try and bust this position. It is still scary, of course, with 8 auto turrets available for the opponent. This base might actually get cancelled here. Not quite sure if Gumiho will be in time. I don't think he will be. This command center is falling low. Cancel will be forced. And will indeed be triggered as well. 300 minerals get returned to the owner. These Marines actually, together with those medevacs, are dealing a heck of a lot more damage than I thought they would. Raven will barely manage to stay alive with 2 HP. 7 SCVs go down. Gumiho still in a supply lead. So he managed to take out both of these medevacs. 6 Vikings against 9, so that is definitely favorable here for Time. Time without map control, but now with a way faster 4th base. This right side base, which was supposed to be a 5th, will now function as the 4th base. A bit of an awkward position. 5th base will be rebuilt here on the 12 o'clock. A couple of scans coming down right now. So one of these scans was done by Time. Triple Cyclones moving in will be capable of taking out a gas geyser. I don't think that's too important right now, honestly. Still 200 gas in the bank here for Time, who's about to max out. Has 2-2 finished up already for Gumiho? Yeah, well, Gumiho's actually just ahead in basically everything, which is kind of crazy, except for air control. There's more marines, similar tank count, a lot more money in the bank, faster 5th base, and still complete map control. These Cyclones, the Reapers and the Hellion, really have paid off for Gumiho. You can definitely say that. Good forward siege here. Might allow him to take out the tank. Yep, tank gets absolutely blasted there. Couple of Ravens moving into position. Anti-armor missile gets cast on all of these Marines. This is an aggressive move out of Gumiho. I don't think he can actually do that, and he's going to get pushed back. There's so many Marines there, and still defensive position for these tanks as well. Air control is in hands of time, and there's still a lot of energy on all of these Ravens. We'll see a couple of interference matrices being used right now. I can only imagine. Here comes the bust out of time with his 37 Marines against 42. Tank sieging in the far back. Couple of interference matrices would not be a luxury right now for the Chinese Terran player. Does not use them, and instead is going to engage in an air war, but loses a couple of tanks on the ground. That allows Gumiho to keep this aggressive position and threaten perhaps an attack towards the left side. This forces time to keep 4 tanks split on that left side the entire time. Only a single tank in the middle. This position is vulnerable, and Gumiho is aware of that. I think Gumiho is going to push in, yeah. I believe this to be the correct call as well. What a weird move here out of time. Believing he could just move away. Now his main ramp is going to get busted. This area is extremely vulnerable all of a sudden. Couple of interference matrices being cast. Time is moving in right now. Auto turrets being thrown down as well. Meanwhile, Gumiho's marine force continues moving on towards the main base. Single tank is still there. It's not sieged up currently. Reactor gets taken out. Vikings will start working on these medevacs. These marines will eventually fall. But at what cost? Well, it seems like at not too high of a cost at the end of the day. 2 tanks remain here for Gumiho. Both of these tanks are at home. 30 Marines against 27. Air control completely in the hands of the Chinese Terran currently. But the eco lead definitely will be going towards Gumiho, who already is mining from 5 bases, has 3 more command centers on the way for extra scans, extra mules, and extra SCV production. And of course, being capable of taking a 6th base also isn't a luxury, and is something that Gumiho will need. Gumiho somehow needs to stay alive for the next few minutes. As long as time doesn't move out, that would be perfect, because time has the air lead and has the tank lead currently. So the moment Gumiho loses map control, he's inevitably going to be losing some bases. Extra orbital commands get morphed in right now, so no 6th base in the works yet. 83 workers as well. 3-3 is going to be quicker for Gumiho as well. And he already started the extra Raven production before his opponent. Is Corvid Reactor done already? No, only Corvid Reactor on the way for time just now. Extra command centers are on the way here for the Chinese Terran as well. Seems like he wants to even up the command center count, but that will cost a little bit of time. There is just a bunch of these command centers out. Triple medevac trying to head towards the main base. Oh my god, beautiful interference matrices. And all of these medevacs are going to get taken out by this double Viking tag team before they can truly unload. There's a lot of army in the main base though. This might allow time to finally move out on the map, but time prefers being passive this game. It feels like he is under the illusion that Gumiho just has a bigger army or is supposed to have more map control. It feels like time could be trying to at least gain the towers every now and again. It feels like he's not in a bad position necessarily. He just doesn't want to be out on the map, and maybe that's his plan. His plan is just to defend, take good defensive engagements, but often in TVT, defensive engagements are harder than aggressive engagements, because you need to split your tanks preemptively while your opponent, well, let's take a look here. Gumiho doesn't really have any tanks defensively whatsoever. That means that the entire tank force of Gumiho right now is here. All 7 tanks are in one group, while on the other hand we see time, 4 tanks on the left side, 2-3 tanks maybe in the middle. We have 2 tanks on the far right side and only a single tank in the middle. So there are some weak spots where you could be fighting a tank war where you just have way less tanks. And now especially that the Raven count is growing, disabling 3-4 tanks is a lot easier than disabling 10 tanks at the same time. And that is what time will have to do when Gumiho decides to push into a position. Ravens rotate towards the far left side. This might be one of these times where this truly could become an issue. Interference matrices get cast immediately. This position, I think double interference matrices on one of these tanks. This position is going to get bursted, and there is 6 tanks here on this position for Gumiho. Is there enough interference matrices on the other side? I think the answer is no. There's still 3 more tanks moving in right now out of Gumiho. Big anti-armor missile is hitting though. Ravens are going to survive on the far left side. I think this fight will actually go Gumiho's way. Raven count in favor of Gumiho, and of course Raven energy is a massive thing in the TVT late game. It is a resource on itself almost, you could say. Still air control, firmly in the hands of Time here, with the superior Viking numbers, 9 against 3 tanks. Right side, well, actually looks pretty well defended. Sensor tower, triple turrets, couple of tanks here. This middle area, though, is somewhat vulnerable, and that might be where we will see the next push. Could also just be that Gumiho decides to continue pushing here towards the left side. I'd be a little bit surprised because he does not have any air control, so he'll continuously need to be scanning. And these Ravens also can't just move in anymore because there's so many Vikings to kind of zone that out. The tank count for Gumiho also isn't high enough to really burst a position like that, or to slowly leapfrog forward. So I'm actually kind of surprised that we're seeing so much attention being focused on this left side still. I'd much prefer Gumiho to try a different angle at this point. I mean, he has a fairly mobile army, 50 Marines, lower tank count, but with the Ravens, the possibility to push into these less guarded areas, like the middle, and perhaps even like that right side. Really only 2 tanks here. Turrets will make that harder, of course. Now, we indeed do see that rotation. This rotation has 2 purposes. One, to find a weak spot in Time's armor. And at the same time, denying outside bases on that right side. So this 6th base ideally would be denied. Gumiho is aware of that happening, saw the SCV transfer. And I think Gumiho actually should be capable of cutting off this area. This puts Time in a pretty awkward position, by the way. Oh, as I say that, Ravens move in towards the far left side. Turrets will get taken out. Every single tank will die as well before they get out of the interference matrix. More auto turrets being built right now. Auto turrets helping out so much. Just pure tanking ability. Time decides to go for the base trade right now, and we're actually in a weird situation. Gumiho on 92 workers is going to burst down this main ramp once again. Only 2 tanks there. Vikings land on the high ground. Is there any tanks in the main base right now? The answer is no. At the same time, is there any tanks on the other side of the map? The answer also is no. There's a lot of money in the bank, but what use is money if you don't have the production to spend it? There's really no point being rich if you can't spend it on anything. Vikings are going to land, and they have extremely high damage output. Going to kill absolutely everything that comes out of these barracks, and also will take out all of these buildings pretty fast. At the same time, Gumiho is dealing a lot of damage on the other side of the map. Army supply 77 against 118 in favor of Time, who's flying all of his buildings away right now. Gumiho not quite doing that. Is he rebuilding production? Yes. Triple factory here going down on the bottom side. I wouldn't mind a couple of factories or barracks here on the left side either. Ravens being repaired at home. Raven count is 9 against 10, but 19 Vikings against only 1. That means that air control, air dominance is still firmly in the hands of the Chinese Terran player, who also has 7 tanks against 4. Down in the Marine count, but overall up in everything else. Buildings are going to start flying across the map. We see a bit of a turret wall, a bunch of barracks. Oh my god, these are not barracks, these are 8 starports being built at the same time here. So he wants to kind of, I guess he wants to contest the air army. And that might be the only way to actually win this game. If you can get the air control in your favor here, and you just go very slow and methodical in this type of case, I do believe that that would be a good type of situation. The problem is, will Time give Gumiho the time? I think the answer might just be no. Command center is going to get taken out by these Vikings here, as the tanks are trying to burst this position open. 1 tank is going to get taken out. A couple of auto turrets being used to tank against this planetary tank in the far back is sieging up as well. Will get interference matrix as Time is paying attention right now. What actually is Gumiho's army doing? Well, so far getting destroyed by these turrets. At the same time, more Marines are stimming forward. Viking will get taken out by these turrets. Sloppy control out of Gumiho, honestly. Lots of Viking production going on right now as these Marines are moving in. Oh my god, all of these turrets are dealing a fair chunk of damage as well. I think a couple of Vikings actually ended up going down there. 1 more Viking will fall. Currently 18 Vikings remaining. 1 more turret. Can it take out that Viking? The answer is no. 8 Vikings being produced at a time. So we get, what, 3 rounds of Vikings. And all of a sudden Gumiho will be around ahead in the air count. couple of starports here are not capable of building because there's no depots around currently for Time. Time needs to start constructing more and more depots. Time is not aware of the top left side, and this is going to be such an important moment because this will deny the potential air superiority for Gumiho, and that was really, well, the only thing I think that he could have done. Marine count is in favor of Gumiho. It looks like Time lost 5 ravens, or 4 ravens as well. No, he was at 10, so 5 ravens. The orbital count is still significant on the right side. We have triple tank production as well here for Gumiho. Gumiho will want a fight that will happen at an instant. If the fight lasts too long, that would be bad. Because then the Vikings will take care of the ravens. And eventually there will be more ravens remaining for Time. That is what I truly believe. These bases are going to get taken out. This position still somewhat sieged up. Double starport still alive as well. I actually think that Gumiho is kind of switching this around. Armory is being built. I'm not quite sure if that's for upgrades or to start building mines that you can burrow with. Uh-oh. These ravens are in a bit of trouble. I think one raven ended up going down there. A lot of energy gets used as well here to not really achieve all that much. More barracks on the way, so Time is still trying to get that production up and running. Is going to start pushing forward. Uh-oh, lots of ravens here. They're going to be in a little bit of trouble. Auto turrets get put down once again. The raven count right now, 5 against 5 Time. No, you need to take your time. You need to take your time. You need to be so slow and methodical about this, because if you back your opponent into a corner here, over time, you should be capable of winning this. The only problem is that Gumiho is mining a lot more and has production in the top left side. And has production in the bottom right side. Medevacs are on the way as well. The tank count isn't all that large. Yeah. This is a problem though for Gumiho. Every single time an interference matrix gets cast, that could be pretty painful. Vikings will need to land on top of this, I guess. Yep, we're gonna see a couple of big shots there, actually. Oh my god. That was a lot of Vikings going down there. It must have been like 4 or 5. Oh no, Gumiho is going to start moving in right now. Marine count is in favor of Gumiho. Tanks get sent in as well. A couple of auto turrets. And I actually think that, yeah, Time needs to tap out. Gumiho wins this base trade game. Just having too much eco, too much production all over the place. And that seemed to be the key here. Look at this. He had some production structures on the left, some production structures on the bottom. Had all the depots still alive, which actually ended up being huge. The fact that Time was supply block for such a long time and wasn't building extra depots actually severely impeded his ability to produce in this base trade scenario. This was an extremely wild game, and kind of happy that I watched it. I don't do a lot of TVTs, but I have a newfound respect for the matchup after I did a quick study on it the other day. With a couple of hours of TVT replays. I truly do like it now. So, expect a little bit more of this in the future. Thanks all so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see all of you next time for a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.